My name is John Snyder. I'm the program coordinator for music industry studies here at Loyola University in New Orleans. I've been here since 2004. This is 2010 this year. So this is my 6th year. Actually, I think it's my 7th year. And I came here from New York City, where I'd been living for 30 years and producing music in the kind of jazz, blues worlds. I was in a previous life, I had my own record company, but I started out as a trumpet player and went to music school, and that's all I wanted to do and to be. And my goal was to play lead trumpet with the Count Basie band, and I would be happy. It didn't quite work out that way, although I did end up producing Count Basie's band. So I got close, but out of music school, I went to law school. I was recommended to consider it by a teacher, and I thought it was a pretty harebrained idea at the time. Still not quite sure if it wasn't then, it wasn't still. But so I did go to law school. I was kind of recruited to go because in those days they needed a little more diversity than they had, and actually, if you believe it or not, I represented diversity. I think it was kind of a hair thing, but. In any event, I did go to law school, and I was admitted to the bar in New York. And out of law school, I went to work for Creed Taylor at CTI Records in New York. I was very fortunate. I mean, that was a plum position to have at that time because he was the #1 jazz label in the country, maybe the world. And it was offices at #1 Rockefeller Plaza in New York City, overlooking the skating rink and the Christmas tree and all that. So I really kind of thought I had gone to heaven. And it was a beautiful thing. I loved New York and came to love it more than anything. I just think it's an incredible place. You know, everything is there. Everybody who's there wants to do something and be something and achieve something. So there's this high energy. You know, it's just a great place to go and do stuff. So I lasted at CTI a couple of years, as long as the company lasted, unfortunately. And then I went to work for A&M Records in LA. And I started a jazz label for them called Horizon and got to be friends with Herb Alpert and a lot of the artists there. And we signed people like Dave Brubeck or Ornette Coleman, Charlie Hayden. It was a pretty eclectic point of view. So in 1979, which is the 2nd year I was at A&M, I left to start my own label, Artist House, and I was a jazz label again, and it was Ornette and Thad Jones and Mel Lewis and Chet Baker and Jim Hall. It was an interesting group of artists, and I also managed those people. So it was I learned artist management kind of from the seat of the pants, but it was an interesting experience to tour the world with Ornette Coleman and try to make that band, you know, less loud. And so it was great. But in about 2000, 1994, I started coming to Louisiana to make records, and I got to be friends with state economic development people, and they asked me to apply for the job here at Loyola. I didn't know that it was available, so they kind of threw my name into the hat. I was called to come in and you know, present myself in front of the various committees and groups, and I certainly had no intention to moving to New Orleans. I knew it would go underwater at some point, but I wanted to experience the process. So I came and experienced the process, and not having any real fear about it, I guess I did pretty well at it, and. So I was offered the job after a second visit, and I accepted it after the plane ride home, trying to figure out what I'd actually done. But it actually has changed my life quite considerably, and I think for the best, because I've been able to come into the orbit of amazing young people who are so active and inspired and thinking new ways of doing things. It's really quite amazing. So here I am. It started in '85. Basically, it's just the former dean's idea, David Swansea, of combining music students with business courses. So you could take some business courses. It was not any kind of relationship. It wasn't music business. It was just go to the business school, take a intro to business course, take an economics course, take a management course, take a marketing course. And it seemed to work pretty well for 15 years or so. And they decided to kind of upgrade it, and they were able to get, they raised money from Conrad Hilton, the Hilton hotel chain, and also another foundation, Baldrige. And then with the state kicking in some money too, they formed these two chairs, endowed chairs in the music industry. And I was fortunate enough to acquire one of those chairs. They had started this about 2001, maybe two, and the person who held my chair before me left, and then they had a national search, and I came out on top of that. I wasn't the best candidate though, because I know the guy that was on the other side of me, and he was. In fact, when I found out that he was the other guy, I told the search committee that they should pick him because he was such an impressive person. But he was a West Coast guy, and I was an East Coast guy, so I think they wanted a more East Coast sensibility. And so I got the gig, and it's grown quite a bit, the program, since I've been here. Mostly because the university has provided us resources and to build a program that became a destination program for many students. And so we have great faculty, George Howard and Billy O'Connell and Bob Rainey and Paul Vitello, Jim Gabor, Jay Crudy. I mean, just a really tight-knit, diverse but focused and friendly faculty. So, you know, having that kind of those kind of guys working with those people who are so creative and so accomplished, and then we're creating this program to help musicians and artists create a career for themselves, if that's what they want. If they want a career in music and art, they need to know how to make a living at it. And so we try to teach them that they are essentially a walking business, that by virtue of what they do and create, they create rights under copyright statutes that can be monetized. So as soon as somebody writes down an original song, they get the right to copy it and distribute it. So now they're a music publisher. And it's not a box they check or a form they fill out. It happened. And the only question is then, are they going to take good care of it? They're going to manage that business properly or not? And the default position is not. So we're trying to change that. So the default position will be, yes, you know, we can do this because it's ours to do it with. So we are trying to bring in education, bring in information and our own past experience in the so-called legacy industries, which are legacy now because they're basically changing dramatically or going away. So CDs are down 50% in the last 8-10 years. They go down 10% every year. And it's a changing scene in the music world. But it's not, but the music business is actually growing. Globally, it's getting bigger. And as money is being pulled out of the recorded music market, it's going into the live music market and also music publishing and merchandise. So we are trying to kind of lead the charge in the new ways of thinking about the world of music and art. You know, when I talk to parents and to applicants, it's very important to me that they understand that we have a different way of looking at the music business. I come from the old music business, and in that business, artists are fungible in a sense. They're put through a process. Now, in the 70s, the 60s and 70s, we would sign an artist and we would stick with that artist for 5 records. It was all about artist development. It was all about that. It was about discovering talent in its rawest form and nurturing it to flourish into a creative, you know, ecology. And now it's changed. Now it's not about that. It's not about artist development. It's about money. Now, in those days, it was about money too, but it was money that was made from the creative process. So it was not money. We weren't making records just for the purpose of making money. And Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss, Ahmet Ertegun, Creed Taylor, those Goddard Lieberson, the people who founded the music business did it because they felt almost a social obligation. And so it was a different perspective philosophically. And then it changed in the 80s in the leveraged buyout world where money became the main byword, stockholder, shareholder value. And so it was not about employees anymore. It's not even about products anymore. So it's even car manufacturers started making cars to make money and not to make cars. So here we want to orient the student back to the other way, which is we are here to serve music and musicians, art and artists. We're not here to enrich ourselves at their expense. The profit that we make is a byproduct of what we do, not the point of it. I mean, we do make money because we're organized and businesslike and smart and creative, but it's a byproduct of the power of music. If music has this power to heal and change the world and make people's lives better, that's a power that must be respected. Music and art have these powers. So let's focus on that. If we do well at that, we'll make money from it, as long as we're smart about it. Now, we teach here that just by virtue of what you do as a creative person, you create copyrights, which create rights that can be monetized. If you write down an original song on a piece of paper, it's copywritten, and you have in that second, and you have the exclusive right to copy it and distribute it. So that makes you a music publisher. So the question becomes, are you going to run that business effectively or not? And the default position is or not. So we're trying to flip that so that musicians will know that if they choose to make a living as a performer, and they don't have to. Music will enrich your life and make you a better doctor, lawyer, or Indian chief. But if you choose to be the person in front of the mic who wants to go out there or write the music, or that's your focus, then you need to find a way to sustain that career. And that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to educate, on the one hand, the performer, and on the other hand, the person who's going to be in the service community around that performer.
Why don't you, since we're on that note, why don't you explain the different tracks that are within the Music Industry Studies program real quickly?
Well, you know, we have a major track called the Bachelor of Science degree. Now, you do not have to be a player to join that, to pursue that degree. If you're a Bachelor of Music student and you're a player, you've come in as you've auditioned, you're accepted, you can take a minor track or an emphasis in Music Industry Studies, which is just about enough information to keep you out of jail, I think. But it gives you a sense of yourself as a business. It gives you a sense of your legal rights and the legalities of what you do. It gives you a sense of how to market what you do, how to perceive of yourself as a part of the cultural economy. And so then you have a Bachelor of Business Administration minor. So if you're in the business school and you want to have some emphasis in the music industry, you can take 21 hours and you'll have that emphasis. So and we have a BA track too for communication students, or really anybody else in the university who has a Bachelor of Arts degree may want a minor track. So the idea is we want to expand beyond the music business, because it's not just about music anymore, and the business of art is really what we're talking about. And it's also about the arts entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship implies self-motivation. It implies, you know, the musician themselves is thinking of themselves as a business, which they are. So that's basically the emphasis. And we start out with introduction courses and introduction to music industry, which is really arts industry, introduction to music technology, introduction to business. In your first semester, you're going to get that. And then you move up through business communications and marketing, microeconomics, management, organizational behavior, financial accounting. So you're going through a real business minor track. You're getting all the intro courses in all the disciplines of business, which is, to my mind, if I'd had that, I would be so much, my company would have survived as a recording company, because I just didn't know what I was doing. And I thought I knew, but I didn't. So that's even worse. So you're going to get that. You're going to get cognate courses with all the business courses. So a music marketing course cognates to the basic marketing course. Music management, music entrepreneurship, music finance. So it kind of goes up the ladder like this. You get about 40 or 50 hours of business courses in the Bachelor of Science degree. And of course you get your common curriculum, which is, I think, extremely important. You know, if you're going to participate in the world of art and music, you have to be, all those people are smart, and they're well read, and whether they're educated or not, they're extremely self-educated. They're autodidactic. I mean, they're always learning. You know, music and art, musicians and artists are always solving problems, always trying to find out more, always trying to understand. And having a sense of literature, of art, of science, of history, extremely important in the creative world. It enhances not only what you do, but it enhances the way you do it. And so it's necessary. So the fact that it's a kind of a conservatory model school inside of a liberal arts university makes it a different sort of place. And we add this veneer of economy, you know, the world of business on top of this. But we do it out of deep respect for the artist and the musician, because we believe that those people, the more artists, the better. Passion replaces aggression. We need more people concerned about making art than making unhappiness or war or whatever. So that's why we find it very easy to get up out of bed and go to work every day, because we have meaning in our lives, and it's a pursuit that never fails you. The music and art and literature that we love never fails us. Parents are often concerned about their children going into the arts. My father woke me every morning at 5:30 to practice trumpet and piano, but when it came time to go to college, and I was good as a player, and I had scholarships, he was no way. You can't make a living at that. And we had quite a fight about it. I'm not sure who lost or who won, but I did go to music school, and I did pay my way through it. And I earned my own way through it, because he was not convinced. Now, when I went to law school, we were friends again. But you know, it was that music school that kind of set him off wrong. But you know, parents are rightfully concerned. But here's the deal: you don't come to college necessarily to get a job. I mean, what about a history major or a philosophy major or a math? I mean, it's about finding out who you are and following your own love and passion. You know, making it manifest. So, you know, obviously you can come to music school and be a lawyer, and we've heard many of our faculty talk about how it's obvious that musicians do make good lawyers or doctors. It's a matter of methodology. It's a matter of problem solving. I mean, if you're practicing your instrument every day, you're constantly improving. That's your job, and you don't even think twice about it. I mean, it's like nobody has to tell you that you have to constantly improve. You know it because you can hear yourself play, and you can also hear how you want to be. You can hear the other guys better than you. So you really learn methodology as a musician. You learn how to solve problems on a daily basis. You learn how to set goals and create plans to achieve those goals on a daily basis. That's business planning. I mean, that's an essential understanding. And if you have it, there's nothing you can't do. So that's that. There's virtue and value in music and arts education, irrespective of what job you end up with. And we know nowadays anyway that any kid up between now and the time they're 35 are going to have 12 different jobs. I mean, that's just statistically the way it is. So, you know, it's not about just the job. On the other hand, if you are a performer or an artist and you just are determined to make it like that, it is incumbent on you to gain some understanding of business. You need a business course and an economics course. You need to understand your rights under copyright law, because that's what's driving your career. And so this is important to know this. It's not onerous, it's not even hard. It's just information that you need to round out your approach. If you're not a performer, but you want to be in the music business, then you're in the support industries. You know, you're going to be a manager, or you're going to be an agent, you're going to be a producer or whatever. There's hundreds and hundreds of jobs. There's hundreds of things to do. So every artist creates jobs. You know, a successful artist is a job creator. You know, arts education is not just warm and fuzzy. Arts education is one of the primary art and the creative industries make up probably 30% of the GDP of this country. This is no small potatoes. And entertainment is still our #1 export. And there's so many creative industries involved in that. So this is a fairly big deal. And it's small business is the backbone of this country, not big business. So every musician, every artist is a small business. So it all adds up. And if we can just connect a few more of the dots in the minds of the people who are doing these things, I think that we're going to have a much more robust cultural economy, which is going to produce a couple things: art, culture, economy. And that's a pretty winning combination.